ஐயா அவங்க கொஞ்சம் பேசுவாங்களே கொஞ்ச நேரம் இருக்க சொல்லுங்க. Good evening and welcome to all the participants for a two-day virtual multidisciplinary short-term training program on research methodology and data analysis organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Annamalai University. Today is the second day, first session. I'm happy to introduce the resource person, a great personality, both research and academic in the field of education, Dr. Professor E. Ram Ganesh sir. He is a professor of educational technology, Bharatidasan University, Tiruchirappalli. He is presently serving as a director, Institute for Entrepreneurship, Career Development and Vocational Education, Bharatidasan University, Tiruchirappalli. He served as an adjunct professor in Malaysia for a period of 2 years from 2018 to 19. He has entrusted various capacities and responsibilities in the Bharatidasan University as Registrar, Finance Officer, Director of College Curriculum Development, Director Human Resource Development Center, Nodal Officer for Constituent Colleges of Bharatidasan University, and Coordinator for projects. He is the recipient of national and international awards. He has published 86 articles in reputed national and international journals, which has been covered under the Scopus and Web of Science indexing journals. He has published 15 books in the field of education and technology. He has completed 4 major projects with the outlay of 1.6 crore rupees. He has organized many workshops, conferences, seminars, symposia, both national and international level. He has delivered 550 lectures in various conferences, seminars, workshops, and academic forums in the field of higher education in India and abroad. Above all, I'm happy to say that he is one of the alumnus of Annamalai University. I welcome you, sir, and to delivering the lecture on the topic of understanding the research paradigm. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for good words upon me. Distinguished members of IQAC of Annamalai University and faculty members of Department of Education, Annamalai University, learned participants from across the country, friends, good evening to all of you. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be part of the two-day short-term program on the topic of the significance, research method. Because research plays a very prominent and important role to address the national agenda. But for quality research, it will be $1 million question to the status of any country. In that way, I think we have to understand the values or ideals or significance of quality research in this country, and you and me, the members of academia, have to play a very paramount role at length and breadth to understand the quality research. What is called quality research? Everybody says, quality research or qualitative. Quality. What is quality, first of all? I would say there is a beautiful saying. Quality happens when you care enough to do it. Quality happens when you care enough to do it. If you want to taste the quality, if you want to ensure the quality, how the extent you care the system, care the activities that you carry out, which are very important. If I don't care addressing to you, sometime you would not be able to taste the quality of my delivery. Therefore, quality happens when you care enough to do it. Quality research really matters, because the very goal and purpose of this country is to become a superpower country. The great leader, the great scientist, great educationist, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam has already dreamt that this country would become, superpower country, so that we would be able to meet up the demands of the world, global demands. And that is the reason the intelligent monk Swami Vivekananda and great leader Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam invested their invaluable time to groom youngsters in the world. Young youngsters in the sense young researchers. I think young researchers should understand the importance of the original research, which could address the problems encountered by the society. So therefore, it is very important. That's why I wanted to talk about paradigms, research paradigms, understanding research paradigm. Paradigm is a bridge or a model that would help you to connect your research knowledge into social issues. That is very important. See, research is not ritual. As you celebrate, Krishna Jayanti or Bakrid or Christmas. So, research is not ritual. It is very important process, scientific process, which connects the knowledge and social issues. That's very important. Knowledge and social issues. Therefore, it is not everybody's cup of tea. Researching is not your cup of tea or my cup of tea. Unless I have wisdom is very important. Compassion is very important. Courage. The three terms are very important. That is why I think a very great philosopher, Chinese philosopher, Confucius used to pronounce the great terms: wisdom, compassion, courage. What is wisdom, for example? The wisdom in the sense, what extent you are able to connect the society in terms of your initiatives. You may be researching in science or arts or multidisciplinary domain or cross-disciplinary domain or engineering or medicine. So research is not ritual in the sense, it is not done just for sake of improving your H index or citations. Yeah, that is important. I don't say you should not improve your citation and H index, but that is not the primary focus of research. The primary focus of research is to provide a solution to the existing issues in the society, because the society encounters quite a lot of problems which remain unsolved. That is the reason our India is called a developing country. America is a superpower country. The population is only 36 crore, whereas your population is 136 crore. So 1/5 of the population, what they have, they claim themselves superpower country. But you have got a huge human resources in this country. But why the country is not called, superpower country? Because one of the reasons, I don't say only, one of the reasons is your research. Your research is ritual. because you do your PhD research just for sake of getting a degree. I publish my papers or research papers, research articles, just to get promotion, the next level promotion. I don't say that next level promotion is not important, your PhD is not important, but that is not the product, that is only a byproduct. So what is your product then? As a researcher, as a teacher in higher learning institution, what is your responsibility on your shoulder to connect yourself with the society, which is more important. And if you don't connect yourself into the society, if you keep on doing research, that will not make any difference. Your research will go in vain. And I am so happy that for about 400 people from across the country listen to me. So therefore, if 400 people are committed in terms of their research, there will be a beautiful difference. You can make the difference in the country. Therefore, this country, believes in youngsters, because you are the right person to transform India #1 in the world. You are the right person. The researcher, you young researchers are right persons to transform India #1 in the world. Therefore, you must have wisdom. What is wisdom? Connecting your knowledge with the social issues. Compassion. Confucius, the philosopher, says compassion. How do you have compassion without passion? If I don't have passion to talk to you, then how can I be compassionate towards you? So therefore, I must have passion and then compassion. When I deliver goods, you must get something from my delivery. Because 1 hour, 1.5 hours, okay, you are going to listen to me, and you must learn something. You must develop a good attitude. And if you don't develop attitude after listening to me, you will feel disappointed. So how can I be compassionate? So I must have passion to bring forth my ideas in front of you. If I don't have passion, sometime you will be disappointed. Therefore, compassion is another quality of research. First, wisdom, connecting your knowledge with social issues. Compassion, you must understand for whom you are doing research. Do you think your research will really benefit them? Your research outcomes will be useful to them. So compassion courage is very important. See, I conducted more than 100 viva examinations in different universities in the country and other countries too. But you see the courage of presenting their viva, defending their thesis in front of the public audience. Very, very few, maybe 1% if I am not mistaken. Only 1% have courage to present their thoughts in front of the public audience. Or 1% of the researchers, PhD scholars only, have ability to defend their research work. Many of them are very scared. You can easily find out who is going to defend the thesis. When you look at their face itself, PhD scholar, the viva was examination. You can easily find out, spot out the odd man out, because the particular fellow will be odd man, always tense, lot of anxiety. You know why? Because sometimes he does not have adequate ability to defend his thesis. So at last we used to pronounce. So based on the recommendations and presentation, we will recommend PhD degree, or we will request the authorities of the university to award PhD degree to the graduate. So why I am telling you, you must have courage. When do you have courage? If you have strong knowledge, application, and what you have done, then why do you bother? Why do you worry? Why do you apprehend? Why are you anxious? So why, sometimes you can present well. The reason is we don't have courage because we don't have wisdom. We don't have compassion. So these things are very important. Friends, why I am talking? Okay, these things are very important. Before I expose my PowerPoints to you, the important thing is research will encompass the status of your country. As far as global share in research is concerned, India is able to contribute only 5.31% according to 2018 statistics. India is able to contribute only 5.31% in the global share. Whereas your neighboring country like China, it is able to contribute 21% to global share. And America, it is 17.5%. So, but you see, India is investing good money, $1 billion, almost $9,500 billion for R&D, research in science and technology and humanities. So therefore, you young researcher must develop inclination to address the global share, to contribute to the global share, so that you can address the Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is one of the goals of Government of India, to build Atmanirbhar Bharat. What is Atmanirbhar Bharat? Self-reliant India. We have to establish self-reliant India. How do you establish? By means of your wisdom, compassion, courage in research. So if you are a good researcher of this country, you will be the instrumental to build Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliant India, make in India. Why should we invest our money in different countries? So therefore, we have to produce, we have to manufacture what we require. Why should we, sometime invest money in France for buying Rafale, the war Air Force? And why should we invest money in chopper in Russia, helicopter? Recently, Bipin Rawat passed away. And why should we invest money in Germany for procuring confocal microscope? Don't you have potential? You have got every potential waiting to be unleashed. But the only thing is you must have passion and ideas. Then only you would understand the research paradigms. So therefore, your research must be able to address the economy of this country. That is why the first Prime Minister of Independent India, Sri Jawaharlal Nehru ji, rightly pointed out that but for quality education, that means quality research, economic growth and social transformation would not be feasible to India, he said. So the economic growth and social transformation, it is the responsibility of every citizen, every researcher. Therefore, research should not be a ritual. Research must be a scientific and serious process. And you must have passion. You must have ideas. Passion and ideas drive research. Therefore, you must be a serious person. And you must have inclination to learn from across the world, because now you see high profile resources are at your disposal, free of cost. Now, gone are those days, we did not leverage the technology what you have leveraged. But now you are able to leverage high profile resources. But when you are given a beautiful opportunity to leverage resources across the globe, and most of the high profile institutions come forward to share their resources, whereas you have got to collaborate with the high profile resources. You got OER, Open Educational Resources. So you got plenty of opportunity to look at the best practices in research so that you would be able to address the economy of this country. How do you address directly economy? Look at the problems of the society, connect your research into the society. Now your research will become a prototype, or your research will become a product, and that would really cater to the needs of the society. Therefore, the social transformation of this country is addressed. So in that way, the social transformation and economy must be taken cognizance as a researcher, because you have every knowledge, but you must have passion and ideas. You should develop such kind of dynamism. If you don't develop such kind of dynamic tendency, if you do research, sometimes it is very difficult for you to come up. In this competitive world, you cannot come up. Therefore, you should address directly the social issues. Therefore, economy and social transformation are very important factors, okay, in which you can address through your quality research. That's what I wanted to discuss with you. Maybe for want of time, okay, I will straight away get into the slides, and I'm going to sometime, ask you questions also. Perhaps if you know, you can just unmute and answer my question, right? So that we both will be interactive, and I will see how many of you, okay, watch me, how many of you listen to me, and based on, okay, you are answering the question, perhaps I will understand. Okay, now are you able to see my slides? Anybody? Praveena?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so you can mute now. Right. Now, I showcase a great scientist in front of you. That is Rutherford. I think teachers of science, students of science would understand. No. Rutherford is a great scientist who is the Nobel laureate in chemistry for his Bohr atom model. He brought laurel to this world, and he is the Nobel laureate. Why I showcase Rutherford in front of you? Because all his PhD scholars, all his students became Nobel laureates. You see, 11 of his students became Nobel laureates. If the researcher is a good researcher, he can contribute to the global share. A Nobel laureate has produced all his students, 11 of his students as Nobel laureates. A kind of quality researcher who has got wisdom, compassion, courage. So that is the reason I would like to showcase Rutherford in front of you, so that you will be motivated. If you are good, your students will be good. Your society around you, surrounding you will be good. And if you don't compromise in your initiatives of research, definitely your own students will not compromise. And you have to set an example in front of your students. How Rutherford set an example in front of his students. He got an arm. So this is kind of research leadership. It is not only the particular professor or associate professor improve his H index, but his own fellow students would not be able to improve H index. He is not a good teacher, I tell you. Who is a good researcher or teacher? He makes others researchers, and others develop, improve their citation indexes. That's very important. So in that way, Rutherford is a great example for all of us. Friends, I would like to introduce three important research paradigms. There are so many research paradigms. For want of time, because I am given 1 hour, 15 minutes. So I thought I can expose you with three important research paradigms. Before getting into the paradigms, let me get your response. What is research? What do you mean by it? Anybody, you can just unmute and tell me. Because it is afternoon, we will interact. Huh? Anybody, what do you mean by research? Very brief and bright. Couple of responses I would like to get it from you. Because you so many audio, the researcher from different parts of the country. So I would like to know your perceptions. What is meant by research? Anybody? Yeah, somebody can unmute and tell me. Whatever the answer you give me, it is right. Okay, I will not discourage you. Yes. What is meant by research? Anybody?
Sir, they are giving in the chat box, sir.
Yeah, in the chat box. Okay, you are giving in. Why do you talk to me so that chat box? Okay, it is good, but still, if you okay, somebody said scientific investigation. Okay, anybody? Anything else? Search again and again. Dr. Prabha Paul, what's your answer? Accumulation of experience, ongoing process of learning new things. Very good. Very good. Anything else? It is a fact-finding process. Very good. Searching truth. Search for truth. New narrative. New initiative. Process of finding solution. Problem solving. Very good. Known to unknown. Okay. Systematic investigation. Search method of finding a solution to a problem. Good. Finding a right solution. Okay. Enough. I'm so happy about it. Now, I would like to offer my point of view. What should be research? In fact, the problem for finding a solution for the problem, fact finding, everything is correct. Whatever you have said is correct. Research. Now, let me define or let me offer my point of view. As you rightly pointed out, research is scientific, critical, and self-critical inquiry, which aims at the advancement of knowledge and wisdom. So research is scientific, critical, self-critical inquiry, which aims at the advancement of knowledge and wisdom. Now, couple of terminologies you could find in the definition. Number one is scientific. I don't want to take time to explain. Critical. The second terminology or vocabulary that I have used is critical. Why research must be critical? Anybody? Why research must be critical? Anybody from chat box? Feasible? No. Sudha says feasible? No. Why research is critical? Analysis, critical allows analytic thinking without bias. Okay. No, still you are not nearing big data analysis. Now then a problem. Now and then problem. You are not nearing. Comments, bias out there. Finding source, compromise with the facts. Make it find a proper solution. I'm so happy about it. Everybody is very interactive. I'm so happy about it. Vijay Kumar, Lakshmi, Vijay Lakshmi, Lakshmi. Yeah, solution to a problem, identification of fact difficult, new idea. Okay, let me tell you. So why the research is critical? Because When do you come across the word? Where do you come across the word critical? Suppose if somebody is critical in the medicine, in a hospital, you come across the word critical. When somebody is critical, he or she will be admitted into ICU, right? Intensive care unit. Why somebody is critical, he or she is put into ICU? Because ICU got every facility. And if you don't put him in ICU, sometime he will die. He or she will die because he is critical and he must be cared in the care unit. If you don't put him in care unit, he will die. He or she will die. In that way, research is critical means you have to ensure that if you don't do this research, it will affect the system. If I don't do it, it will affect the system. That is why the Western philosophy says publish or perish. Publish or perish. This is the philosophy, Western philosophy of research. I publish, otherwise I will be perished. My society will be perished. So that is called critical. Critical means if I don't do research, take up research for the particular problem, it will have serious repercussions or the system will be affected. Therefore, I have to do this research. The research is mandate. The research is warranted. The research is important. Now we are all in the midst of outbreak. We are in the third cycle. Omicron. The next variant is Omicron. And first lockdown, first phase, second phase. What was the initiative? Research was very critical for manufacturing or identifying, acting upon vaccination. Therefore, Indian scientists put their mind back for discovering the vaccination, Covaxin or Covishield. So, some extent we are able to prevent ourselves. Therefore, that research is mandatory, warranted. If scientists do not put their mind back for vaccination, most of us would have died. Perhaps the population would have been reduced drastically. So, your research must be critical. If it is not carried out, it will affect the system. You have to ensure as a researcher. What even is self-critical? As a researcher, do you have ability to collaborate, to coexist with relevant institutions, relevant laboratories? Can you make things to happen? Can you make the difference? So do you have ability to collaborate? Do you have ability to coexist? Do you have ability to reflect? Do you have ability to be active? So that your research will be more meaningful. That is the reason interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary research is very much warranted. The reason is it will be able to reach out maximum. So in that way, a good researcher will always think of collaborating the ideas with number of other institutions. A researcher of narrow mind will do only research on his point of view or on her point of view. You are not a good researcher. You must be self-critical. Self-critical in the sense you must have ability to collaborate with the high-profile researchers across the world. I would say it is easy. We have got so many platforms like Coil, collaborative online learning environment. So many technologies you have got to leverage. Therefore, you can always look upon the best practices available in the world. That is self-critical. What is the next word? Inquiry. It is not inquiry. Inquiry will be done by policemen. not the researcher. You are not a head constable or sub-inspector. You are a researcher. The whole India respects you. So therefore, you have to do inquiry. So why inquiry? How inquiry could be made? Perhaps you must visit the society. Then only you can make inquiry. You simply write the proposal, submit proposal for your PhD program, then you join PhD. That is not a good thing. I would like to introduce a golden spiral, the concept of golden spiral that would help you to enable, have a shift from idea to impact, I to I, idea to impact. That means your research idea to social impact. There will be a paradigm shift from research idea to social impact. I will give you idea, but the idea would not be there in the internet also. You can even make a note down. Golden spiral. What is the golden spiral? The first step of you is to visit the society, see the society. You look at the society, then only you can inquire, and know the problems of the society. Then only you would be able to connect. Till you understand the problems, don't come to the university or institution to do your research. You be in the society, member of your society. You always visit them, be with them. And second step, you tell a story about what you have witnessed in the society. Second step, you tell a story about your research guide or your fellow researchers or experts. Tell a story about the thing you have discussed, so that those people will come and collaborate with you. You can even tell a story to the world. High profile researcher, the second step. And third step, now you write a proposal. So that proposal will give you a lot of acumen, insights to write a research proposal that would connect your knowledge along with your colleagues to society. So you have to connect your knowledge with the society. That is called research proposal, the third step. Now the fourth step, if you do it like that, the fourth step will be the solution. That will create social impact. This is called golden spiral. Spiral means what? Like it goes in a spiral. You might have seen. Why it is golden spiral? Now you don't look at the society. You never visit the society. You never extend your ears to them. Simply you look at some review and start writing the proposal. Submit it to your guide and do the submit. So that will not help anybody. That is why a beautiful saying in India, theses and dissertations take their shelter in the cells of the library. Theses and dissertations take their shelter in the cells of the library, which are quite often untouched. You go to any university, people are scared of getting into thesis section. You know why? Because very dirty. Nobody will go. So your dissertation should not take their shelter in the cells of the library. So therefore, in that way, inquiry must be made. Golden spiral. And which aims at the advancement of knowledge or wisdom. Some advancement must be there. For example, how people had a beautiful shift from cow dung to biogas. After all, cow dung, biogas. Now the recent development, human waste to electrical energy. Your human dung to electrical energy. You can't say something which is in the septic tank becomes the wealth of this country. So human waste to electrical energy. People are doing research from human waste to electrical energy. Here one Dr. Sendil Kumar from National College Trichy. He has done a beautiful research from air conditioner, waste water to drinking water, not irrigation water. Drinking water. He is able to convert AC waste water into drinking water. So it has created social impact. Idea to impact is very important. Research idea to social impact. This is the philosophy. You must understand this philosophy. That is why Annamalai University or any university for that matter provide PhD degree. You do your PhD, you do your research in chemistry or engineering or education or economics. But university gives you PhD. What is the expansion of PhD? Doctor of Philosophy. Why Doctor of Philosophy? Because every researcher must be a philosopher, in the sense, must understand certain principles of philosophy. But it is quite unfortunate to tell you, most of the researchers do not know what is philosophy. I even ask you a question. Come on, the university is going to award you Doctor of Philosophy in Mathematics. You tell me what kind of philosophy you know and what kind of philosophy you have integrated in your research. That fellow is blinking. Philosophy, there is no connect between philosophy and chemistry or physics or engineering. So this is how all the universities are magnanimous in awarding PhD degrees to you. But without understanding the philosophy, you develop a paradigm. So paradigm means what? It is a model that connects your research idea into social impact. That is what paradigm. Therefore, philosophical principles play a vital role. This philosophy will help you to connect your idea into social impact. Number one, positivistic paradigm, critical paradigm, hermeneutic paradigm. And I would like to discuss these paradigms in terms of two philosophical principles, or three philosophical principles. Number one is epistemology, ontology, axiology. What is ontology, axiology, epistemology? Theory of knowledge. I would say construction of knowledge. Knowledge construction is very important for your research. Not only product, not only prototype, knowledge creation also is important. Epistemology. Ontology. Marching towards the reality. Originality. Marching towards the reality and originality is an important responsibility of your research. What is axiology? The values of your research. What is the value of your research? You do research, but what kind of values it propagates, it advocates, which is very important. So in that way, I would like to discuss these three paradigms in terms of epistemology, ontology, and axiology. Axiology values. Now, what is positivistic paradigm? There is one word which gains momentum in positivistic paradigm is objective reality on your perception of research. Sometimes you may not be able to witness everything, but still you believe in. For example, have you ever witnessed Omicron virus, Alpha virus, COVID beta virus, COVID gamma virus, COVID delta virus? How many of you have witnessed? How many of you have seen? But still we perceive it, so we believe it. Therefore, we adhere to the SOP, standard operating procedure. What is this? We have to wear mask. We have to keep social distancing. We have only perceived it, but still we follow it. So we develop a kind of positivism. Come on, wearing mask and social distancing and then using sanitizer. So whenever you touch a new object, okay, use sanitizer. And then use N95 mask. Okay. So now you believe in, you perceive, if you follow the standard operating procedure, you will prevent yourself from variant, whether it is Omicron or Delta. So you develop a kind of positivism. So this knowledge you gain, this is called the epistemology. You must listen to others. Come on, I will never follow. I will never wear mask. Americans, did not follow. So many people died. So many people passed away. So therefore, you have to believe in certain knowledge. The correspondence theory of truth, the philosophy of epistemology of positivistic paradigm is correspondence theory of truth. You believe in certain knowledge. If Padmanabhan tells me some knowledge, I believe in him. Sir, whatever you touch a new subject, please, you wash your hands with the soap water, Lye soap. If Padmanabhan tells me, I will listen to him. So that, I develop a positivism. So positivistic paradigm, objective reality towards with the perception of your research is very important. You believe in industry, you believe in research laboratory, and you can't say RT-PCR CT value is 24, therefore you are tested positive. Come on, it is wrong. I will not believe it. So I will simply go. You will die. So you must understand the philosophy. An ontology, something is real if it can be perceived. If you cannot perceive on your research is not real. It will never let you to march towards reality or originality. And your research thesis will go to the library, shelter. Nobody will touch your thesis. So this is how you must have something is real if it can be perceived. That's what positive research paradigm says. The critical paradigm function, the epistemology, pragmatic theory of truth. That is, unless I witness pragmatic theory, practical, whatever I do, whatever I research, it must be used. I have to see. For example, if you stop the sunlight for a plant, the plant will not be able to produce photosynthesis. Starch will not be able to produce starch. You block the sunlight, the plant will not be able to produce starch. It is very pragmatic. So unless I witness it, I will not believe it. It must be practical. So in that way, pragmatic theory of truth, critical paradigm. It says critical paradigm. Look at the ontology. Something is real if it can bring about visible consequences. Come on, I have been injected 2 doses. Dose 1 and dose 2 vaccination. I am vaccinated. But still I am afflicted with Omicron virus. What to do? Come on, already I am vaccinated twice, but still I am afflicted with coronavirus. Why? So it can bring about visible. You said vaccination will prevent you. Yes, vaccination will not prevent you, will give you immunity. Immunity to fight against the virus. That's what WHO says. Therefore, you go for booster. So, visible consequences is very important. That is what critical paradigm talks about. Hermeneutic paradigm, see, multidisciplinary. That is coherence theory of truth. What is coherence theory of truth? My knowledge in chemistry or my knowledge in computer science is linked with different area of specialization. I would be able to link my knowledge with the different area of specialization. If I link with different faculties, diverse faculties, now what happens? My idea will be useful to so many people in this world. Now you see Google Map, computer science, Google launched a beautiful concept, Google Map or Google Lens. Now how it is useful to everyone, not only for computer science teachers or computer science students or computer science researcher. Anybody can use Google Map and Google Lens. So this is called the hermeneutic paradigm, epistemology. I appreciate the initiatives of Mr. Sundar Pichai, Dr. Sundar Pichai, because the Google Map and Google Lens, are useful to everyone. So that is called a hermeneutic paradigm, coherence theory of truth. Look at ontology. Something is real if it can be meaningful. When you say your research is real, it must be meaningful. Somebody can use it. Google Lens is meaningful. Google Map is meaningful. Google Meet is meaningful. Or the third party Zoom is also meaningful because it provides alternatives. So this is called the ethics of research. Therefore, I have introduced 3 research paradigms. Number 1, positivistic research paradigm, critical research paradigm, hermeneutic research paradigm. These paradigms are philosophically understood with its philosophical principles, so that as a researcher, you have to really be active and reflective to take your research into take-home values. Your research must be meaningful. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Come on, you read out the question. Kritika, you can just read out the question. You are going here and there. You read out the question now. Kritika, you can unmute and read the question. Kritika EK. Read out, read the question. In the PowerPoint, are you able to read the question in the PowerPoint? You please unmute and read the question. Somebody will answer the question. Kritika will read the question and somebody can answer the question. Yeah, unmute, Kritika, unmute. Still you are muted. Okay, somebody else can unmute. Kritika is not able to unmute. Somebody else can unmute. Rangaraju can unmute.
Sir,
Kritika, read.
am I
Kritika,
audible?
read out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, read out.
Yes, sir. If a researcher wants to determine the impact of the technologies, enhance learning, then which one of the paradigm is the best contributor?
Very good. Thank you, Kritika. You can unmute.
Thank you.
Now anybody can answer this question. Which is the correct answer? Which is the correct answer? Anybody? Or you are giving in the chat box. I will be happy. Anybody? Amresh? D is the correct answer. Deepa Kumaravelan. Subhasini. Everybody is writing D. Somebody is writing A. Somebody is D. Most of you writing D. Okay. Okay. I'm so happy. Thank you very much. Now the answer is B. The answer is B. Critical research paradigm. You know why critical research paradigm? A researcher wants to determine the impact of technology enhanced learning. So he would be able to see the visible consequences. If I use technology enhanced learning, the performance will be very high.
Sir, unable to hear you, sir. Sir? Jay Prakash, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Madam, there is problem with resource person's internet problem. Give me, wait, ma'am. Participants, please wait. The resource person will join shortly.
So I am really sorry because of the bandwidth, I think, here in my campus. Okay. So am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So the quantitative. So whenever you take up quantitative research, perhaps you have to have a rigor and vigor, and how sincere you are, or how you have the ability to participate in the process of research design is very important. You have to ensure. And do you have ability to relate the variables or determine the effect of the experiment, effect of the strategy that you implement, effect of the treatment that you provide, which is very important. So then only, so why I am telling you, because before you carry out, adopt quantitative research, perhaps you have got to prepare yourself. You must be prepared to participate in the quantitative research. But this is missing actually. Simply they take up research. I still remember one researcher in chemistry, but you see his health is not permitting him to be in the laboratory. But he has taken laboratory research. At last he will be a failure because he was not able to place his rigor and vigor. Though he has got tremendous knowledge, but his ill health is not permitting him. Then why do you take up the research? I still remember one researcher wanted to identify the problems of a transgender. But whenever the girl goes to the transgender is trying to abuse her. She is crying in front of me. I wanted to do something for them, but they try to abuse me. So a particular girl has got very good knowledge, but does not have ability to collect the data. Therefore, you have to ensure the rigor and vigor before you take up quantitative research. This is very important. And there are different types of quantitative research: descriptive, correlational, quasi experimental, experimental. I would like to throw the light on it. Perhaps if you have any questions, perhaps I try to finish it up by another 20 minutes, and 10 minutes, perhaps you can ask me questions. Now, correlational research. I would like to be very brief, don't worry. I got so many slides, but still I would be able to make it. You wanted to correlate one variable with the other variable. Because sometimes this variable, if you tap this variable, the other variable will function effectively. If you find the relationship, what happened, you can improve this particular variable so that other variable will be able to do their functions. So that is the purpose of correlational research. The quasi-experimental design. Normally, in arts and humanities, we develop a strategy, but we would not be able to control the entire scenario. Perhaps, we will develop a content, we will put them in a controlled room, we will give them all motivation, but we cannot control their mind and attitude. Now, how many of you listen to me? I may not be able to control because some of you have unmuted your audio and video, and I may not know you listen to me or this thing. So this is not controlled. But still, how I control? I ask you question, and I will spell out somebody's name, and you have to read out the question. Why I am doing it? So that you can be an active participant. But I may not know what you are doing because you have already muted. So in that way, quasi-experiment. Now what I am conducting is quasi-experiment because I am not able to control your situation. So this is called quasi-experiment. Now what is true experiment? True experiment, something which happens in the science laboratory. The science laboratory or research laboratory, everything will be controlled. Your mind, attitude, everything will be controlled. Every facility will be there. Every tool will be there to control. Therefore, we call experimental, true experimental design. Quasi-experimental, what I am adopting is quasi because I can only deliver goods. I can ask you question, but I am not sure where all the 450 participants are listening to me. Sit and listen to you, listening to me in front of me. It is virtual mode, online mode. Some of them are driving and listening. And one participant I have seen, he is with vest actually. He did not wear even shirt. He did not even wear shirt, and he unmuted the video. This is not good actually. So that could not be controlled by me because it is a virtual mode. If it is offline mode, perhaps I can control. So therefore, what I adopt is quasi-experiment and the experimental design. Now there is a question. Maybe Priya Sheshan can read out the question. Priya Sheshan. Priya Sheshan. Are you with me? Are you with us? Okay, Pravina. Pravina can read out. Rangaraju. Rangaraju can read out the question. Or anybody who is interested to read out the question?
An educational research, sex and geographic area of the marginalized group students.
Yeah. Over a 10-year period, what type of would this be considered? What is the answer? Anybody? Chat box. What is the answer? Which is the correct answer? Deepa Kumaravelan, A. You can type and tell me. Descriptive. Anuradha, descriptive, A. Lakshmi, Srinivas, A. Somebody C. Chitra, A. Jayalakshmi, A. Anybody? Divya, A. Descriptive. Somebody, Kadamban, Kanchana, A. Srisha, A. Very good. I am so happy about it. You are able to understand me. The first one, descriptive research. Look at this. Collects data about hours worked age, sex, and you would not be able to control. You can only tell them what it is. That is called survey research design. So it is descriptive method. Therefore, descriptive method is A is the right answer. Good. Now I would like to take another few seconds to explain the important concept of quantitative research process. One is basic research, applied research, rigor, control, extraneous variable sampling. All these things are going to be discussed in your day. So, rigor, vigor, control, extraneous variable, confounding variable, concomitant variable, all these things are discussed. So, these are all the important components. So, rigor is important, control is important, and I have given you why control in quantitative research. You see, the descriptive, you cannot control. You are only going to age. Can you control my age? Next year, I will be old enough from what I am right now. Next year, you will also become old enough. You cannot control age. Can you control sex? I am a male. Can you control? You can't control. So you can only explain. So only experimental, highly controlled, because it happens in the laboratory. I have already told you. So now, anybody who can read out the question? Anybody who is interested, who is willing to help me? Anybody?
Which of the following characteristics of the experiments is most often lacking in quasi experiments?
Lacking in quasi experiments. What I am using is quasi experiment. Thank you. Somebody read the question. So what is the answer? Let me see the chat box. What is the answer? Nalayapan says A. Yeah. Lakshmi B. Sri B. Sanjay C. Nasamani A. Sunil Kumar B. Sanjay A. Nagaraju. Subhasini D. So appreciation to Subhasini. Subhasini, okay. We can give applause to Subhasini. D is the right answer. High degree of control, especially the ability to assign participants randomly to conditions. That is the correct answer. Because quasi experiment, high degree of control is lacking. You cannot control. See, I cannot have high degree of control. Therefore, I call quasi experimentation. Very good. Okay, these things, okay, important slide I am projecting actually for want of time. Yes. Because I have got another 10 minutes, maybe. This is very important. See, when you do a true experimental design, the very purpose of experimental design is to establish cause-effect relationship. Perhaps no cause, no effect relationship. Cause-effect relationship or no cause, no effect relationship. That means the cause-effect relationship means relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. The cause is always independent variable. The effect is always a dependent variable. Now vaccination is the cause, therefore independent variable. Your immunity is the dependent variable. Immunity against COVID virus. So immunity against COVID virus is a dependent variable. That is the effect. And cause is the vaccination, Covaxin or Covishield. So that is causality. And multi-causality is also there. That is, so many variable, independent variable will mean to the dependent variable teaching competence. Knowledge, construction of knowledge, collaboration, communication, creativity, so many attributes. So teaching competence of a teacher or research competence of a researcher is attributed to so many independent variables. So multi-causality, causality and multi-causality is very important. So in that way, these things must be addressed, okay, in your discussion. Let me go to the important because I have got very less time. There are different threats which are to be addressed. There are three important threats any researcher will go through. Three important research threats. Any threats, okay, any researcher will go through. Number one, researcher related threats. What is researcher related threats? Number one, observer bias. When the researcher observes the experiment, observes the treatment, observes the behavior of the people in the system or in the ground and in the familial variables, bias should not be there, observer bias. Sometime, you know, if you go to foreign countries, other countries, if you see any Indian, you will be biased because you wanted to support Indian. So observer bias must be one of the threats of researcher. And experimenter effect. As an experimenter, whether you have the ability to control the entire variable, which is very important. If you are not committed in the laboratory, how can you use the laboratory properly? Researcher attributes. When you are a researcher, you must have ability to understand the variable, ability to design a tool, ability to collect a data, ability to test the hypothesis, ability to use the SPSS packages, ability to use advanced statistics. All these things are very important. Sometimes the fellow does not know SPSS. He will go to JP, because he is very good at computer science. He will go and seek the help of human. Dr. JP will help him. So you should not outsource. All researchers must know SPSS. See, 16 of them have got PhD under my guidance. Everybody knows SPSS package. Otherwise, I will not sign. I will teach them. Now, how many of the researchers know SPSS? I am not sure. So attribute your knowledge in different field is attributed to the threat. That is researcher related threat. Second one is participant related threats. Participants, you know, sometimes you conduct the experiment with the participants, conduct the experiment in the laboratory. So Hawthorne effect. Hawthorne effect means where sometimes the knowledge that you offer to them will influence, come on. So they will answer differently. Testing effect. If you don't test, you know, sometimes antigen test, you see, that is the testing effect, best example. You have to undergo only RT-PCR, swab test and this test. RT-PCR test only, the right test. But somebody, you know, they go to pharmacist and they buy antigen test, buy antigen kit for 250 rupees. And so, come on, I am tested negative. Antigen test says self-testing, says negative. But that fellow is already positive, tested positive, can be tested as positive through RT-PCR. So the testing effect, how best you test. Maturation is very important. To whom? And whatever you test, immediately you do it. You see, the first phase, only vaccine, people above 45 are vaccinated. What about below 45? Then the second phase, below 45. Now all children. Now elder people, booster dose, maturation. You have to do it immediately. Experimental mortality, you know, somebody do not participate in the experiment, they should be removed from the sample. Otherwise, sampling error. That is called a sampling dilemma. So experiment mortality. Mortality means I will. Some people, the short-term course they will participate. One day they will participate, other days they will not participate. That is mortality. Then how can we issue the certificates to you? E-certificates to you. All the days you have to be there. All the sessions you have to participate. So that is the experimental mortality. That is participant-related threats. Inter-subject bias. Sometimes I correlate with Dr. JP. He is in the computer science department. I am in the educational technology. I request Dr. JP to collaborate with me so that we will develop an algorithm, FNN algorithm, face recognition algorithm. We will publish an article. So inter-subject bias should not be there. I must also learn computer science. I should not leave because JP knows, okay, Dr. JP knows. So why should I learn? This is wrong, inter-subject bias. Whenever I coexist and collaborate with Dr. JP, I have to learn. Compensatory rivalry. Sometimes you give treatment to experimental group, but not the control group. You should not undermine the control group. After the entire research is over, the same treatment must have given to control group also. So in that way, participant-related threats. Procedure-related threats, the history. You must know the history of the variable. And you must develop relevant tools, that is instrumentation. The treatment confound, you have to control the treatment. Statistical regression, you must be master. You have mastery in statistics, regression, estimation. So 3 threats are there. One is researcher related threats, participant related threats, and procedure related threats. These things are very important. For want of time, let me go to the last slide. Because 10 minutes for you to ask me questions. Look at the last, if somebody can read, anybody who is interested, Dr. K. Krishnamurthy.
We are all here, sir. Fertilizer supplier, pest controller, seed supplier, and soil tester. But I wonder who that man is standing over there.
Very good. What's your name?
Dharani, sir.
Dharani. Okay. Dharani read beautifully. Dharani read beautifully. Okay. What do you understand from the slide? What do you understand? You are all here, sir. You see the people, agriculture scientist, pest controller, entomologist, seed supplier, everybody, soil tester, everybody wearing dress with tie and neat pant and suit. And they are asking who that man standing over there. So what does it mean? They are all in the research laboratory doing a lot of research without knowing the farmer. So they are fertilizer supplier, agriculture scientist, pest control, entomologist, biotechnology, all are working for the farmers, but they don't know who is the farmer. So our research should not be like that. Without knowing the sample, the society, problem, we are asking who that society is. Who that society is standing over there. So there is a philosophy called lab to land. Lab to land. Whatever you do it in the lab must cater to the land. Then only your research is meaningful. Therefore, you must understand the paradigms. If you understand the research paradigms, you will be motivated to connect your knowledge with the society. Therefore, you have a paradigm shift from idea to social impact. Research idea to social impact. This is what I wanted to share with you. My sincere thanks are due to Dr. Sai Lila, who contacted me and who requested me to share my ideas with participants across the country. This is a great opportunity for me to be with you today. And thank you one and all, Dr. JP and other organizers, especially the IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Annamalai University, for extending a good opportunity to me. Now, I wish you all the best. Happy New Year to all of you. and please develop a passion, compassion and courage towards original research so that we all join hands to improve global share. It is 5.5%. Now we have to be more than 25%. We have to surpass the neighboring country too, so that we would be able to address the economy and social transformation of this country. So thank you very much for lending your ears to me. Now it is your turn to ask me questions.
Any questions, participants, from your side?
Instead of putting your question in this what you call chat box, you can unmute and ask me so that everybody will listen to you. Can survey method be done under correlational research method? Certainly. Survey method, normally survey method is a wrong usage. Survey design, descriptive method with the survey design. So survey design can be used in correlational research. Certainly. One Subbalakshmi Raman asked me, so I have answered the question. So instead of chat box, I invite you to unmute yourself. You don't have to unmute your video, maybe unmute your audio and ask me question. Or you can also share your views.
Morning, sir. Myself,
Yeah.
Neha from Uttar Pradesh. Sir, I'm working as yes, sir. I'm working as assistant professor in ANU.
Yeah.
Sir,
Okay, madam.
Sir, I would like to clarify the difference between experimental and quasi-experimental, sir.
Yeah. It's the difference between experimental and quasi-experimental.
Oh, sir,
That's what I told.
Pre-experimental and quasi-experimental.
Yeah. Which subject are you teaching, madam?
Nursing.
Nursing. Very good. The nursing, suppose if you are a researcher of nursing,
Yes, sir.
then you use only true experimental design.
Yeah.
Because you would be able to control everything. Suppose you see, you would be able to control everything. For example, simply example, you wanted to vaccinate somebody. What will you do? You will what will you do in terms of controlling? You call the patient, you call the man or woman and ask him whether he is a comorbidity or not, whether he has got any problems. So you control, everything you control, whether he has a cough or fever, everything you control, and then you vaccinate, you inject. This is true experimental design. Quasi-experimental design, now you see how I am lecturing. That's what I have given you lecture. I have given you example. I deliver lecture without knowing whether you listen to me or not. I am not able to control your mute and unmute. But still I deliver lecture. I am not able to control. So certain variables cannot be controlled in the experimental setup. Sometimes, you treat a patient as a nurse, you treat a patient without a ventilator. It is quasi-experimental. A critical patient is being treated without a ventilator. It is quasi-experiment. With the ventilator and oxygen, it is true experiment. Are you able to understand me, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the clearance.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. Good evening,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Regarding, sir, you said why the research should be critical.
Yeah.
I had given the answer, sir, that sometimes somebody has already done a research on something, and if I need to find some shortcomings on that particular research,
Yeah.
that in that sense also the research should be critical, sir.
Certainly. Very nice question. What's your good name, sir?
Sir, Kushagar Kumar, sir.
Kushagar Kumar. Very nice question. So this is important question he has raised. Kushal, Dr. Kushal. You see, somebody has done a research on some field and he is able to identify the shortcoming. Can I do a research? Can it be critical? Certainly it is critical. You see, for example, you see somebody has done a research from air conditioner water to irrigation water.
Sir.
The shortcoming is, why don't we convert air conditioner water into drinking water?
Yes, sir.
So it is very much critical, warranted.
Sir.
So wonderful question. Certainly, this is the answer. You are critical. Your research is critical.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kushal, for a wonderful question.
Yeah, good evening, sir. This is Chitranjan from Goa.
From
Goa University, sir.
Goa, yeah.
Research scholar, sir. I'm doing research in environmental science, sir. Connectedness with nature.
Very good.
So can I do research in pure experimental research, or it would be
Yeah, certainly you do it. And please, you look at the objectives of your research problem. If your objectives, direct you to take up true experimental design, you take up. It all depends on the objectives to be achieved. Research method, sample, tool, everything is selected only to achieve the objectives. So look at the objectives of your research proposal. If you feel that experimental design is relevant, you can definitely take up.
Sir,
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
This is Dharani from VIT Vellore, Tamil Nadu.
Very
I'm
good.
doing my PhD sociology, and I joined in a week before.
Yeah.
My area of research is I'm focusing on Indian rural single mothers. Can you suggest any ideas from your side, sir?
What is your idea? Because I have done research on GIS, Geographical Information System.
Oh, my area of research is I'm focusing on Indian rural single mothers.
Oh, very good.
The crisis and
crisis of rural. Very good, Dharani.
Yeah.
See, definitely you can adopt methodological pluralism. Please note down methodological pluralism. You should not rely on only single method. Sometimes you can use, case study or case analysis. Sometimes you can quantify. Sometimes naturalistic inquiry. Sometimes interview questionnaire. You can interview with them. Sometimes you can do SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, and opportunity challenges analysis. Therefore, I call upon Dharani to use methodological pluralism. Are you convinced, Dr. Dharani?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You got it? You got it from me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, Subhashini Ram. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I am a research scholar from Indian Institute of Teacher Education, Gandhinagar, Gujarat.
Very good.
So I am doing, my department is education.
Yeah, good.
My study, I have a plan to do a correlation study of work-life balance and motivation of teachers.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, how do you use variables? Because in correlation, we don't call them as independent or dependent variables.
Yeah, very good.
You term the variables.
Yeah. Now you see, for work life, I think job analysis is very important. So now what you have to do is, I call upon you to review on work life. If you review on work life, a deep review, perhaps you have to have cross-sectional review and longitudinal review. Both cross-sectional and longitudinal review on work life. And that review will bring a lot of ideas or attributes or components which could be related to the other variable. Am I correct or not? Therefore, you have to have a deep review on work life, not only in Gujarat, but also other states, but also other countries. what are the attributes that affected work life. Then you select the attributes which could be relevant to your population. Accordingly, you link. So you have to have a review at length and breadth. Do you understand? Subhasini, do you understand, ma?
Yes, sir. I
Yeah.
couldn't unmute. Sorry, sir. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
no problem. Okay. Good.
Sir, shall we wind up the session, sir?
Please, we can wind up. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Professor Ram Ganesh sir spoke on understanding the research paradigms. He stressed the need for quality research, especially among the young researchers. He also stated the 3 qualities of researcher quoted by Confucius as compassion, courage, and wisdom. His slide on Rutherford and his 11 scholars winning the Nobel laureate was a source of inspiration to all the participants, sir. His 3 research paradigms, namely the positive paradigm, critical paradigm, and humanistic paradigm, and their ontology, epistemology, axiology was well explained. Golden spiral from idea to impact was well explained by you, sir. On the whole, the session was highly informative, and all the participants enjoyed. They interacted with you. That shows their interest in the lecture. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing your valuable time and being with us. We are very happy to have you again, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you once again. I wish you all the best. Thank you. I'm leaving from.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, participants. We had a wonderful session, informative lecture delivered by Dr. Ram Ganesh. The same spirit, we are moving to our second section of today. Our second speaker is Dr. R.D. Chowdhury, Associate Professor in Statistics, MG Science Institute, Ahmedabad. He is a gold medalist for his PG and PhD degrees. Prior to his appointment, he has been served as a faculty member in MG. Experience he is having both teaching and academic. He has published many articles, both national and international reputed journals. He is a comprehensive knowledge of handling various statistical tools like R programming, SPSS, Minitab, MS Excel, and Python. He is an expert member for various academic institutions. He has delivered more than 50 lectures in R programming and related statistical tools. Based on his vast experience, I welcome you, sir, and delivering the lecture on the topic of understanding SPSS and entering the data in SPSS.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening, all. First of all, thank you very much, IQAC, Annamalai University, and Sailila Madam for inviting me to deliver expert session on understanding SPSS and entering data in SPSS. So basically, in research methodology, this use of software is at the end of the analysis, at the end of the project, right? So in research methodology, initially we have to decide about the research project, research problem, and then we will start one by one review of literature, and then decide about the designs and all other things. And finally, with the help of questionnaires or with the help of interviews, we can collect the data, researcher can collect the data, and at the end of all this, the main thing is how to analyze the data and where to analyze the data, which software is appropriate to analyze the data. So there are so many softwares available in the market. The first one that is commonly used by every researcher, that is Microsoft Excel. But there are certain limitations of Microsoft Excel. We cannot perform high-level statistical analysis in Microsoft Excel. But for this, we have some additional software like SPSS is one of them, I will show you how to use SPSS. R programming is there, Minitab software is there, then MATLAB software is there, then Systat software is there, S plus programming language is there, R programming language is there. So there are many statistical softwares available. Some of them are commercial softwares and some of them are open source software. I hope you know the idea of open source software. Like R programming is an open source software. Anyone can download it, anyone can use it, anyone can contribute to R programming, right? But SPSS or SAS is one of the software which is a very costly software. SAS, SPSS, Minitab, all these are the commercial softwares. So whenever you want to use that software, you have to first of all you have to purchase the license copy, and then only we can use that software. Actually, people are using pirated softwares, but this commercial license is very important when you perform, when you conduct a research, and when you quote the software used during your research. So in the research article, it is very important and mandatory that you should have the official copy of that particular software. So SPSS initially, actually the name SPSS is initially the name is Statistical Package for Social Sciences. Basically, it is used for social sciences. But later on, there is a huge demand of statistical analysis software, and there is a modifications one by one, step by step, in version by version, and at the end, now it is taken by the IBM company, and now it is known as a IBM SPSS. Let me share my screen so that in today's session I am going to cover one minute.
The screen is not coming.
Yeah. I am sharing the screen. Just wait a minute. I am sharing my screen. One minute. There is some issue. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Zoom, you are having opened so many tabs.
Yeah. Because I want to share so many things. So 1 minute. I am just again sharing. Because simultaneously I have to switch over from one screen to another screen. So that is why I am sharing my screen. So that, okay. Now, is it visible now?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the today's session is about understanding SPSS and entering the data in SPSS. As I told you, this is the last step in any research project. Whenever we have collected the data, so at the end, we have to analyze the data with the help of various softwares. So in today's session, I'm going to cover what is the history of SPSS, what are the different versions available, starting from the first version to today's version, then how to explore SPSS using the interface, right? And then how to create a data file in SPSS, because the most important part in any research is quantitative or qualitative research is creating a data file, right? Once your data file is appropriate, properly ready, then only we can use different statistical tools or different statistical methods. And the most important thing, I hope in yesterday's session, there is a discussion about different data types, fundamentals of statistics, right? So different data types. Okay, so in SPSS, the type of data is very, very important, because if you choose wrong type of data in SPSS, then you cannot select that variable in a particular manner, right? Then what are the different types of SPSS files that I'm going to show you? Then importing data from MS Excel. As I told you, almost 95% of the researcher use Microsoft Excel to store the initial data. And it is very handy tool. It is very handy software to manipulate the data, manipulate in the positive sense, right? So you can arrange the data, you can sort the data, you can select the data. So that is Microsoft Excel. So first step is create your data in Microsoft Excel with appropriate coding. I will show you step by step. Then how to import that Microsoft Excel data to SPSS, right? And once your data is in SPSS with some appropriate labeling, then the next part is about the analysis, right? So in today's session, I'm going to cover how to transform the variable. We will discuss one by one, recoding the variables, how to recode the variables, how to add value labels. What are the value labels? How to rank the cases, how to sort the data, and how to merge different files in SPSS. Because many times we may have data for same research project, we have data in parts, first part, second part, third part. So if we have different data files, and at the end, if you want to combine all the data files to a single data source, so that can be done with the help of merging the files. Okay. Now, what is the history of SPSS? The first SPSS version 1 released in 1968 by an American company, SPSS Incorporation. The full form of SPSS is Statistical Package for Social Sciences. Later on, step by step, there is a modifications in the software. Then SPSS 10 version came in 1983. Later on, SPSS version 16 is available for all the operating system like Linux, Mac, Windows. In 2009, this SPSS Incorporation that is acquired by IBM, the biggest company, multinational company, with the name PASW, that is a predictive analytics software. So as soon as IBM acquired SPSS, they gave the new name, that is PASW SPSS. Later on, it becomes again SPSS in the same IBM company, and currently we have SPSS 28 version, right? Even actually, as I told you, it is a commercial software, but if you want to download a trial version, a 30-day trial version is available. You can download it directly from IBM SPSS website. Okay. Now, as I told you, initially it is a statistical package for social sciences. Later on, the name changed to Statistical Product and Service Solutions, right? And in IBM SPSS, there are different modules. Actually, SPSS software comes in a different module. If you want to purchase a simple basic software that is known as a statistic base, right? It costs approximately, depending upon the number of user. Recently we have purchased for 10 user, so it cost us about 4 lakh. Okay, so depending upon the number of users, there is a cost varies from number of users. Okay, and then apart from the basic statistical analysis, if you want to add different modules, you have to purchase the module from IBM SPSS. The modules are regression, advanced statistics, complex sample analysis, categories, exact test, missing values, forecasting, custom tables, conjoint analysis, and structural equation modeling, that is MOS. So these are the advanced modules available in IBM SPSS. If you purchase only the basic software, so these advanced modules are not available in the basic software, right? That you have to purchase. Okay. Now, some other modules available in IBM SPSS, that is a direct marketing. For marketing analysis, there is a direct marketing module, then neural network for machine learning type of analysis, machine learning projects, we have in SPSS neural network, then bootstrapping is there. Then as you know that today's time is about the data science, and in data science, Python or programming are very popular names. So there is an integration of Python with SPSS, R with SPSS, Java with SPSS, and Microsoft.NET with SPSS. So we can integrate Python, R, Java, Microsoft.NET along with the SPSS. So this is all about the SPSS or history of SPSS. Now, once we have installed SPSS, right now in my computer, my laptop, I have IBM SPSS 22 version installed. So I'm going to show you whatever the analysis that is using IBM SPSS 22. Okay, so if you go to the start menu, there is a group that is IBM. See, this is IBM SPSS statistics, and here we can select this IBM SPSS statistic 22, right? So if you click on this, it will open a new window like this. It will open a new window, and from that, so if you cancel this, then it will show you a blank worksheet like this. This is the spreadsheet. Okay, actually SPSS is nothing but it is like a Excel worksheet, but slight difference is there in Excel and SPSS worksheet. Okay, so when you open SPSS file, new file, so by default it is untitled, and here there are two views, that is data view and variable, right? So data view and variable view. When you click on data view, it shows the rows and columns. Rows are given the numbers and columns are given as a where, that is variable names. So this is about the SPSS data view. And in variable view, here we have the different name of the variables and their type and all other characteristics of the variable. Okay, so I will show you that one by one. Okay, so as I told you, the data editor opens in two tabs, that is a data view and variable view. Actually, basically this data view is used for the data input. So in data view, we can input the data here directly. When you start entering the data, automatically the first variable is given as a var 00001. So this is the default name. If you double click on that, it will move to the variable view, and here you can change the name of the variable. Okay, you can change the name of the variable, right? So basically it is very difficult to enter the data directly into SPSS. So there is one way using Microsoft Excel, the combination of Microsoft Excel and SPSS. So I will show you that, right? And variable view is used for adding the variables, defining variable properties and their attributes. As I told you, in the variable views, here you can assign the name, you can select the type of data stored. It may be numeric, it may be comma or dot or scientific notation, date, and so on, right? Here width, decimal, labels. So these labels are very, very important because there are certain restrictions on the variable names in SPSS. You cannot use any variable name. There are certain rules that the first character must be alphabet and the remaining character must be alphanumeric values. No space is allowed. No special characters are allowed in the variable name. Only dot and underscore are used in a variable name just to make it readable. Okay, so this is about the data. So when you launch IBM SPSS, the data editor window, so it is exactly similar to Microsoft Excel. Okay, as I told you, there are rows and columns. So actually in Microsoft Excel, you can enter variables row wise or column wise. It depends on you, right? But in SPSS, always we have rows are the cases and columns are the variable. Cases means respondent. Rows are the observations and columns are the variable, right? So that is why it is different from Microsoft Excel. Okay, so in the variable data view, we have, this is the first row, this is the first column, that is the first respondent, and this is the first variable, and at the intersection point we call it as a cell, right? So this cell contains the value of the first variable for the first respondent, this contains value of the variable 1 for the second respondent, and so on. Okay, so this is the variable data view, right? In variable view, we have different characteristics of the variables, right? So first one, that is the name of the variable. Name, here you can use the name appropriately, say for example ID. Now remember one thing, while entering the data in SPSS, always use first variable as either serial number or ID. The reason is, many times we have to manipulate the data, we have to modify the data, we have to sort the data. And when you sort the data, and if you want to resort it in the original format, then it is not possible in SPSS to resort into original format, right? So that is why the first variable, always use the first variable as ID or serial number, so that any time we can resort the data with respect to ID. So we have 1, 2, 3, and so on. We get the data accordingly. Okay, so the name is the variable name assigned to the variable, right, which user can change, right? And use meaningful variable names, right? Then type determines how the variables are entered, right? That means what type of information you are entering, whether you are entering the string information, string means sequence of character, whether you are entering the numeric information, numbers, whether you are entering the dates, right? So that is represented by this type, right? And label, so label is nothing but the description of variables, right? So remember, these labels are very, very useful in the sense that when you perform any statistical analysis, the variable name will not appear in the analysis, but the labels given to the variable names will appear in your analysis, right? That is why give some appropriate variable names. Okay, then value labels. So the next one is value labels. This value labels is very, very important when you are using a nominal or ordinal type of data. You know the nominal type of data, for example, gender. So gender can be classified into two categories, male or female. Say for example, smoking status, yes or no. So these variables are known as a nominal variables, right? So when you want to use a nominal variable or ordinal variable, say for example, socio-economical status, right? So in socio-economical status, we have low, medium, and high. That is a division according to the income. Okay, so in that case, the order is important. So such a data is known as a ordinal data. Okay, so when you are using any nominal or ordinal data, always we have to assign value labels to them. Okay, like say for example, if I am coding male as 0 and female as 1, right? So in that case, I have to mention in SPSS that 0 indicate male and 1 indicate female. That is why these value labels are very, very important. I will show you how to use that. Many times we have to handle the missing values. Okay, so when missing values are there, say for example, age. So if someone age is mentioned in the questionnaire as say for example 102, so we know that 102 is very rarely rare chances that the age is 102. Okay, so even wrong entry, so in that case that can be handled with the help of the missing values. Okay, then this is the column height, that column width, that this column width, you can change the width of the column by using this particular number. You can use the alignment, and then the most important, that is the measure. This measure is very, very important, because when you select certain variables for statistical analysis, say for example, I want to perform one sample t-test. Okay, so we know that one sample t-test is applicable only for a numeric data, that is a scale data. But if you indicated that variable as a nominal or ordinal, so you cannot choose that variable. So that is why this is very, very important. So always use appropriate measure. Scale is for interval or ratio type data. Ordinal, that is the categorical data where order is important, and nominal, it is simply a categorical data where order is not important. Okay, and this role at the end, this is for the advanced analysis. Many times you want to split the data file, many times you want to partition the data file, many times your variable is a dependent variable, that is a target input a target variable, and input, that is the independent variable. So for that purpose we can use this role, but this role is not that much useful right now. But this measurement, the scale, ordinal and nominal, that is very, very important step. Okay, so this is the variable view. Now how to create a data file? Okay, so let me show you, because this is very, very important step. So as I told you, just enter, see, let me show you my Excel file. This is my Excel file, right? I have created the data file in Excel, right? And it is good practice to create a data file in Microsoft Excel, right? Say ID, that is a serial number, gender 0 for male and 1 for female, education level. So there are 5 different education level: none, primary, secondary, and so on. Weight, which is numeric, height numeric, age numeric, smoking status, yes or no, that is nominal, physical activity, moderate or some additional physical activities, then blood glucose, serum cholesterol, and systolic blood pressure, right? And if you go to the end of the file, so I have 100 records for this, right? So as I told you, it is good practice to create a data file in Microsoft Excel, right? Because it is very easy to copy this data from Microsoft Excel and paste to SPSS, right? Otherwise, if you want to create a fresh data file in SPSS, it is very time consuming, because one by one you have to enter the data, and one by one you have to recode the data. So instead of that, create a data file in Excel, and then depending upon the number of variables and the name of the variables, you can just create the variable list in variable view. Say for example, ID numeric, you can use this decimal as a 0, right? Because it is simply the ID, right? And then here you can use the label ID or serial number, right? And value labels, so no value labels are required, because it is a numeric type data, okay? And it is a scale type data. So this is how you can create the first variable ID, okay? Okay, now if you click on this type, then it shows whether you want numeric, comma or dot value, scientific notation, date, right? So the ID is a numeric variable, so you can choose here numeric type of data, okay? Then similarly, the next variable, my next variable is gender, so I can create this gender variable, gender, right, which is also numeric, right? Because the reason is I have entered the data in 01 format, 0101, right? 0 for male and one for female. Okay, so here we can use now this value labels. Here you can use now how to enter the value labels. Let me show you that. So just click on this label and then it will show you a new window like this, value labels, right? So this is that window. Here you can enter the value 0, that is the numeric value, and 0 represents male. Then click on add button. 1 represents female and click on add button, right? Once you enter this, depending upon the number of labels, you have to use either 0, 1 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it shows there is any mistake, you can selecting this and you can remove that and you can change, right? You can change the value. Say for example, this is equal to 2, so you can change that or you can modify. Okay, so anytime you can do that. And the most important thing is this measure, because gender is a nominal data, so I have to select it as a nominal data. So this is how we can enter the second variable, right? And then similarly you can enter all other variables. Remember, education level, weight, height, age, all these variables, right? So remember, in my data view, right, if you go to from variable to data view, you can see only 2 columns, right? You can see only 2 columns and all other variables are yet not defined, right? So define all the variables and then select the data. Okay, so let me show you that how to create the data. Okay, so 1 minute, let me open my data file so that you get clear idea. This is my hard study data. Okay, this is my hard study data and I am removing all the data values. Okay, so see, you can clear the data by selecting the rows and right click on that and clear, right? So this is now there is no data and now this is my variable, right? So look at this. In the education, I have 1 for none, 2 for primary, 3 for intermediate, senior high school and technical, right? Same way I have smoking, that is no and yes, right? I have another variable, physical activity, that is mostly sitting, 1 and 2 for moderate exercise. Okay, and all for this. Okay, so this is about the we will see that. So let us remove these 3 columns because that I have calculated so that you get clear idea. Okay, now this is my data file. Now how to create a data file? So once you created all the variables along with their labels, along with their value labels, okay, and their type, measure type, right? So nominal, ordinal, scale, right, like this. Then the next step is go to Microsoft Excel, whatever the data you have created, select the entire data. Otherwise, remember one thing, it is very difficult to enter the data one by one here, right? Say for example, 1, 2, 3. So it is very time consuming and difficult to enter the data in SPSS, right? So easiest way, I am showing you the easiest way. Always prepare the data file in Microsoft Excel, and then even in Microsoft Excel, prepare the coded data file. Coded in the sense, say for example, don't use here male and female, right? Because it will create a difficulty while copying the data from Excel to SPSS, right? So instead of that, code, and if you forget, you can add here the comment, right? on every variable, you can add the comment. Say, for example, to remember the coding values, I can use here 0 for male and 1 for female. Okay, so that whenever I open the data file, I can see that what are the labels, 1 for what and 0 for what. Same way, you can use here, right click on that and insert the comment, and here you can use 1 for none and so on, 2 for second primary, right, and so on, so that whenever you click, whenever you move your pointer on that particular cell, it shows the value labels. So when you open the data after a long period of time, then also you can recall what are the labels given for each category of that educational state level or gender. Okay, now this is how we can use a Microsoft Excel. Right, now this is my data file. So select the entire data, right, select the entire data and just copy this, Control C, copy this. Okay, and then go to your data file in a data view. Okay, go to your SPSS data file in a data view, and in the first cell, just right click and paste the data. Right, now look at this. Actually, I have used 0 and 1. Okay, for gender, 1, 2, 3 for education level, right? But it shows female, male. Why? Because in the variable view, the value labels 0 for male, 1 for female, right? Similarly, for education, I have used different value labels. So that is why in the data view, I can see the actual labels given for each category of the variable. Okay, and look at this one, just this A and 1 symbol, this button. So if you click on that, it shows the numeric values. Again, if you click on it, is just like a toggle on off button, right? So if you click on that, it shows the numbers. If you again click on that, it shows the value labels for the categorical variable, right? So other variables like weight, height, age, and other variables, all these are the numeric variables. So that is why I use scale as the measure for these variables, right? So this is how we can create a data file very quickly with the help of Microsoft Excel. Otherwise, if you enter the data in SPSS, it is quite a time-consuming task. Okay, so that is why I prefer this particular method. Prepare a data file in Microsoft Excel along with the labels, and then create a blank sheet with only variable names, right, and their value labels and their measure type, and then simply copy the data from Microsoft Excel and paste into the SPSS data file. Now your data is totally completely ready for the analysis. Okay, so this is how we can create the data file in SPSS. Okay, now as you can see in SPSS, these columns are the variables. Remember, in Microsoft Excel, say for example, I can use this way also. Okay, see, I can use this way also. I can use row as a variable name and columns, variables and columns as a data points, right? But this is not possible in Microsoft SPSS, right? In Excel, you can use row or column as a variable name, but in SPSS, always we have rows are the cases, that means the respondent. So these are the respondent, okay, and columns are always the variables. Okay, so columns are always the variables, right? And when you create a file in SPSS, right, so here look at this, here it shows at the top bottom top at the top right top, right, hard study data.sav. So SAV is the extension for SPSS data file, right? This is the name of the data file. Okay, so this is how we can create a data file. You can save the data file as usual, right? Or simply save as and assign appropriate name for the data file. The default extension is SAV. SAV is for the data file, SPSS data file. Okay, so this is how we can create a data in SPSS. Okay, I hope you understand how to create the data file in SPSS, and this is the easiest way to create a data file in SPSS with the help of Microsoft Excel. Okay, even you can merge, you can create file if you have a used data, say for example 5,000 respondent, and if you created the data file in parts, say for example 1,000, then another 1,000, so create separate file. You can merge all the files in SPSS directly. We will see that also. Right now in SPSS there are different types of files available. Okay, as I told you, this is the data file. The extension is SAV. Right, when you do something, say for example I have suppose I save this file with some different names. Okay, so when you save the file, one minute, then automatically it will open a new window that is known as a output window. Okay, so this is the output window. So look at this. We have a data file. We have another one that is the output file, and this third one that is a untitled data. So I am closing this file so that we have only two windows open. One is my data source, another one is a output file, right? So this output file, so whatever the statistical analysis, charts, or any analysis you perform in SPSS, whatever the command you used on your data file in SPSS, it will create the output file, and in this output file it will create the analysis of your data. Okay, so this is the output file. Okay, so there are different type of files. That is a data file with extension .sav, which contains the data file, right? There is another one that is a syntax file. Syntax, so if you go to SPSS file and new, so look at this, four types of files we can create. One is a data file which contains the data. Another is syntax. Syntax, it contains only the SPSS commands, valid SPSS commands to perform statistical analysis. Okay, and the output, it will create a new output file where your analysis will be stored, and this is a script file. So again, it is the coding file. Okay, so this syntax file is having extension SPS, right, which contains the syntax of the commands of SPSS to analyze the data. Output file, the extension is SPV. Okay, the extension is SPV, and the script file, the extension is .sbs or WWD. Right, so these are four different types of files we can create in SPSS. Right, so these are the files. Okay, so four different files, but basically we are interested in the data file and output file only, because syntax and script file are for the advanced user who know the programming language of SPSS, and without using the mouse interface, without using the menu interface, if someone want to write a program to perform the analysis, so that expert can create syntax file directly and directly run the syntax file, and you will get the output ready. Okay. Now how to import the data from Excel, right? So this is one way which I showed you how to create a data file. Okay. Suppose I want to, instead of creating, now remember one thing. Initially what we did, we have created the variable first, right, and their value labels, and then we have copied a data from Microsoft Excel to SPSS in a data view, right? So this is the first step we have used. But suppose instead of this, I want to import a data file. Now how can I import directly a data file, right? So again, there is a one important thing is, once you import the data file, then again you have to use appropriate value labels for that. Okay. So suppose I have this data, I am using the same data file. Say for example, from sheet 1, I want to import this data file directly to SPSS. Okay. So how to import? Go to File, Open, and Data. Okay. Go to File, Open, and then Data, and then select the file type as Excel. Select the file type as Excel. Let me change my directory structure so that I can show you actual working of this. Okay. Now see, select appropriate folder and then select the data file. I repeat, 1 minute, because again I have to select that. Okay. So go to File, New, File, Open, Data, and then select appropriate folder where your Excel file is stored, right? Select that Excel file and then select the file type. If you have selected this data file, it will not show you any Excel file. Okay. So for that, what you have to do, you have to select the file type as Excel, and then only it shows the Excel file, and click on Open button, right? So when you click on the Open button, it will show you, it will pop up a new window, right? And it shows the sheets. If you click on this worksheet, so there are two worksheets. Look at this. In my Excel file, I have sheet 1 and sheet 2. Okay. So sheet 1 I want to import. Okay. So sheet 1. So in the sheet 1 again, it shows the range. Sheet 1, A1 to K101. Okay. A1 to K101. Let us see. I have, this is the A1 cell, right? And this is 101 row, and this is my kth column. Okay. So this is my entire range, A1 to K101. Okay. So this is my K101. Okay. So this is my entire sheet. Okay. Entire data source. So select that data and then click simply OK. Then click simply OK. Automatically, it will import the data from Microsoft Excel to SPSS. Look at this. ID, gender, education level, weight, height, all the variables are there, right? Now remember one thing, in Microsoft Excel, always use the variable names like this. If you use space, smoking space status, it will add a dot in between these two, or you can use underscore just to separate, to make it more readable. Okay. So physical activity, so physical underscore activity, blood glucose, that is blood underscore glucose, so that it will appear as it is in your SPSS data file. Okay. Now look at this. Here all the variables starting from the first cell to the last cell, 100, right? I have 100 rows, 100 respondent, right? And all 11 variables are there, right? Look at this, SBP. Last column is SBP. So all the data is imported. Now, what is the difficulty? With this, the difficulty is here by default, it will take all as a numeric, okay? And these are the width, you can change the width, and no labels are given, right? So for this, you have to give the labels. Otherwise, what happens when you carry out any analysis, it will not show the labels. Say, for example, here you can use the labels gender, education, and then here you can use the space. Okay, here you can use the space, right? Say, for example, here you can use smoking status, right? Because this is the label which appears in the analysis, right? Remember, here you cannot use underscore, right? Here you cannot use space in the variable name. That is why underscore is used or dot is used, right? So add labels, then add value labels, right? So see again, 0 for male, 1 for female. Okay, so this exercise you have to do once again if you are importing from Microsoft Excel directly, right? So according to me, the first step is very easy. Just create a blank structure of the variables along with the value labels according to your Excel file, and then just copy the data from Excel and paste in SPSS, right? So it will create a data very smoothly, right? Otherwise, what happens if you import the data again? You have to choose all these things. Okay, again you have to change the value labels for each categorical variable, right? Say, for example, stop smoking status. Again, you have to add the value labels. You have to choose this measure, right? So this is how we can import the data from Microsoft Excel, right? The same thing I explained here in the presentation, right? So see, change the data labels. So these labels needs to be changed if you import the data, and value labels needs to be added for the categorical variable like gender and smoking status, physical activity, and so on, right? And then you can save the data file, and automatically you have the data file ready for the analysis. Okay, so let us okay, now this is all about creating a data file in SPSS and or importing a data file from Excel to SPSS, right? Now many times in your questionnaire, whatever the variables we have defined, so they are directly recorded in the sense, say for example, height, weight, age, all these variables are there. But suppose from height and weight, if you want to calculate something, or if you want to use some transformation, suppose I want to use the logarithmic transformation on the weight variable, I want to convert I want to use square root of the height as per the requirement of the analysis, right? So for that we have to use the transforming technique, how to transform the variables. Okay, so we will see how to transform the variables, right? So this is the easiest example to understand that the body mass index, usually when it is related to height and weight of an individuals, then instead of collecting the data for body mass index, we can collect the data on height, data on weight, and using that data we can calculate that researcher can calculate directly body mass index using the formula. The formula is weight in kilogram divided by height in meter, height square in meter, right? So this is the formula for the body mass index. Okay, many times we want to convert, suppose you have measured the height in feet and you want to convert it into meter, but the data entered is in feet. So you have to multiply that column with some number depending upon the conversion rule, right? Centimeter to meter, feet to meter, right? So that is one way. Another is you have to use some formula to calculate the new variable, or you have to use certain transformation like logarithmic transformation, square root transformation on the variables. Okay, so whenever such a type of problem is there, we can use transform variable technique in SPSS directly. Okay, so how to use that? So let me show you. Okay, so see, suppose the height, suppose based on the height in meter and weight in kilogram of the respondent, we need to compute the body mass index. Actual formula is this: weight in kilogram divided by height square in meter. But in my data, I have collected the data about height in centimeter. So obviously I have to convert that to meter. Okay, so to convert that to meter, or to convert that to meter, centimeter to meter, I have to use this particular multiplier. Okay, so this is the formula to calculate body mass index. Okay, now how to do this, how to transform the variables? So let us move to SPSS. Okay, so look at this. I have height and weight. The last variable is my body mass index. Okay, so go to transform, then compute variables, right? Go to transform, compute variable, right? So since we are creating a new variable, I have to give some name here for the variable. That is a target variable, that is a body mass index, right? I'm computing a new variable. Okay, then type and label, right? So say for example, I want to use the full label as body mass index. Okay, body mass index, and then continue. Now here I have to create a formula to calculate the body mass index, right? We know that it is a weight, so you can select directly, right? You can use, say for example, weight. So just click on this, double click or click on this. So weight into 10,000, right? Let us see the formula. Weight into 10,000 divided by height square. Okay, so divided by height square. So this is height and square. For square, that is a power 2, we can use double star. So these are some operators, right? So double star, this double star is for the power. Okay, so weight into 10,000 divided by height square, right? So once you use this formula and if you click on OK, automatically a new variable body mass index will be created. When I click on OK, okay, so remember, you can restrict the cases by using this if condition. If you want to select only particularly only for male or only for female, that you can do here. Otherwise, by default, it will include all the cases. That means all the respondent. Okay, but if you want to select for a part of a data, so you can use include if condition. You can use here if condition also. Okay, but right now I want to calculate for all. Just click OK, and it will automatically add a new variable body mass index. Look at this, body mass index for all the 100 respondents. Okay, so this last column is added, and at the same time, if you go to the variable view, look at this. This is the name of the variable, and this is the label body mass index, so that it will appear in the analysis, right? Full name appear in the analysis, right? And by default, automatically, since it is based on 2 numeric values, 2 scale values, here it will select SPSS will select scale as a variable. Now I have body mass index as a new variable. Okay, so this is how we can create a compute variable using transform technique, right? So this is the way to create a new variable from the existing variable. Okay, this is the way to create new variable from the existing variable. Many times we want to recode the variables. Already we have the data, right? And that data, based on that data, you want to categorize the data, recode the data, right? Say for example, so there are two different ways to recode, right? New variable, that is recode into different variable, right? Say for example, I want to recode the body mass index into some new variable based upon the body mass index, whether it is underweight, overweight, obese. So I want to classify that, right, based upon the value of the BMI, right? So in that case, you can use a new variable, that is recode into different variable. Or many times you want to recode into the same variable, right? But basically don't use the second part because it will change your data, right? So keep the original variable as it is and create a new variable, right? So that is recode into different variables. Okay. Okay, so this is what I want to use, this recoding technique, right? So we have already calculated the body mass index, right, based upon height and weight of a given data. Okay, now again, based upon the value of the body mass index according to WHO classification, I want to categorize each respondent into a different categories, right? Say for example, this is the classification, WHO classification of body mass index, that is a weight status. If someone BMI is below 18.5, then we call it as underweight. Okay, if the BMI is from 18.5 to 24.9, actually it is up to 25, right? Not 24.9, but is up to 25, not 25, but up to 25. Then that is known as a normal weight. Similarly, for this third category, it is overweight. For the fourth category, it is obese. And if someone weight BMI is more than 35, we call it as extremely obese, right? So if this is the case, and if you want to code, if you want to create a new variable, if you want to code a new variable based upon the existing numerical variable, so there is a provision in SPSS, and that provision is recoding. Okay, so what is the, where is that recoding? So if you go to SPSS, transform, and here recode into same variable, recode into different variable. Okay, so just click on the recode into different variable, right? And here what you want to recode, body mass index, right? So select that body mass index and add it to here, right? Numerical variable, right? Now remember, here there are two variables. One is a numerical variable based on which you want to create a new output variable. Okay, that is a BMI. Now what I want to give, I want to give weight status. Okay, that is weight status, and for the label I can use weight status. Okay, so remember, in the first name I have used underscore, in the label I have used a space, right? And click on this change button so that a new variable will be added, output variable will be added in place of the question mark. Okay, so change, look at this. Now BMI to weight status. Now the process is recode into different variables. Numerical variable BMI will be recoded to a weight status. Okay, to a weight status, that is a new variable. Okay, how to do this? So here there is a option, that is old and new values. Okay, let me show you in the slide. Okay, look at this. So BMI, weight status, here is old and new value. Okay, old and new value. So if you click on that, it will open a new window. Let me show you, right? When I click on old and new values, okay, so look at this. Now this is very, very important step when you want to recode existing variable to different categories, different levels. Say for example, based upon the marks obtained by the student in the final exam. If you want to assign the grades, right? If you want to assign the grades, whether A grade, B grade, C grade, right? So in SPSS, you can use this recode technique to create a new variable, new column with grades only, A, B, C, and D. Okay, so look at this. So first one is, here there are three options, right? So one is directly old values and new values. Okay, old values and new values. So in the left part we have old values, and in the right part it will create a new value, right? But here, since I have different conditions, right? Below some value, between some value, and above some value. According to the values of the BMI, I want to assign a label: underweight, normal weight, overweight, obese, and extremely obese to respondent, right? So to do this, so the first one is this, lowest through, right? Remember, lowest through, that means below that value. Say for example 18.5, right? I assign one value to this, right? Look at this. When I use one and then add, it will appear here. Old is lowest through 18.5 and new is 1. Okay, so it will assign accordingly. In all 100 respondent, those respondent whose BMI is less than 18.5 will be coded as 1 automatically, right? So this is one step for the first one. Second one is 18.5 to 24.9. Actually it is 25 up to 25. Okay, so how to do that? So now in this case I have a range between, right? So it is 18.5 to 25. Okay, and the new value for this particular range is 2. So it will add a new value as 2, those for those respondent whose BMI is 18.5 through 25, up to 25. Okay, so this is how we can use the second one, third one, fourth one, and fifth one. Let me show you. So 25, then here it is 25 to the 25 to 30. This is the third one. Okay, then 30 to 35. 1 minute. 30 to 35. It is a fourth one, and highest through, because the last option, remember, the last option is above 35. Okay, so since it is above 35, so I have to choose range value highest through 35, and for this I am assigning the value 5, right? So once you click continue, right, and then okay, automatically it will create a new variable after BMI as a weight status. Okay, so let us see. Click OK, and then again go to this. So look at this, right? So all the values BMI, based upon the BMI and the table, right, categorical table, it will assign the value 1, 2, 3 up to 5 for all the variables, right? But again, still it is not clearly labeled. Okay, so go to variable view, go to weight status, and then here we have to use 1 for underweight, okay, value label, 2 for normal weight, okay, 3 for what is the 3, that is overweight, 4 for obese, and 5 for extremely obese. Now it is clear, right? Now, once the labels are there, now if you go to the variable view, data view, right? So in data view, you can see overweight, normal weight, right? So all the labels will be added automatically. So this is very, if you click on this label, value label, it shows the numeric data. And when you click again, it shows the labels for that particular data. Okay, so this is a very important step to record the data. Existing numerical data can be recoded to different categories. This is the best example to understand how it is useful, how recoding is useful to divide the numerical data into different categories. Okay, so this is how we can record into different variable. Okay, and then value labels. So these value labels also I have showed you. Okay, now the next is, many times we want to rank the cases, right? Suppose, for example, I have the data. Rank means we have to assign numbers, numerical numbers, ascending or descending order of magnitude to a numerical variable, right? So rank variable represents ordering the values of a numerical variable. Right? Okay. Hello. Hello, someone's mic is on. Okay, so rank variable represents ordering of the numerical variable, right? So rank are used specifically when you have to apply some non-parametric statistical methods. Okay, so that in that case, ranks are very useful, right? So in SPSS directly we can create the ranks, or you can assign ranks to the variables. Okay, so in this case, again, from the transform menu, transform and rank cases, right? So if you click on this, so it will open a new window. Again, I repeat, transform, rank cases, right? And it will pop up a new window, right? In this particular part, we have the variables, okay? List of variables. And here you can select the numerical variable, one or more, okay? Numerical variable or variables. And here you can select based upon the categorical variable. Say, for example, I want to assign the rank to weight. Okay, I want to assign the rank to weight. So remember, I have a numerical variable weight and I have 100 respondent. Out of 100 respondent, some are male and female, right? But combined together, I have to assign the rank. Okay, so in that case, directly I can use single variable, not by variable. Okay, but suppose if you want to assign the ranks for male separately and females separately, we have to assign the rank for the weight for male and female separately, then you can choose a gender categorical variable here, right? Then how to assign the rank? So the rule for the ranking is smallest value has been given rank 1. If you want to change, you can change that. By default, smallest has been given a first rank. Okay, rank type. So rank type, so here these are some additional options available, but by default we use this rank only, right? And in case of ties, what to do, right? So suppose ties means if two individuals are having same weight, right? So in that case, it will assign the average rank which they commonly jointly occupy, right? So in that case, we can use mean, right? There are different methods of ranking. We can use a low rank or high rank or mean rank for that, right? So by default, so keep all these options as it is, right? And if this is ticked, it will show the summary table in the output. Okay, so when I click OK, so look at this. This is a simple summary table. Source variable is weight, function which use rank, new variable R weight is created, and the labels are rank of weight by gender. Right, now let us see in the data file. Look at this. Right, so all the data values okay, so all the data values are ranked weight values. Actually these are the weights. Okay, so weights are ranked according to the gender. Okay, so look at this, according to gender, weight, and say for example this is the gender. Okay, so look at this, 47, this is the smallest weight for male. Okay, so it has been given the first rank. Okay, it has been given the first rank. So ranking of weight for male separately and for female separately. Okay, so this is how we can assign the rank for variables. Okay, so this is very simple technique to create the rank data. Okay, now how to sort the data? Many times we need to sort the data, right? So remember, initially I told you that whenever you create a SPSS data file, whether for a small data set or large data set, always create first column as serial number or ID. The reason is, if you have not created serial number and directly added the data, and if you sort the data in between, so you cannot convert that sorted data to the original format without that ID. Okay, but if ID or serial number is there, you can regain the original data, you can recall the original format of the data. So that is why sorting is very, very important. Okay, so see, sorting data allows us to reorganize the data either in ascending or descending order with respect to specific either variable or more than one variable, right, which is also possible in Microsoft Excel also. Okay, so you can sort the data on particular variable or more than one variables either in ascending order or descending order. Right, now in SPSS there are two options for sorting. You can sort cases. As I told you, in SPSS rows are the cases and columns are the variables. Always remember this, rows are the cases and columns are the variables, right? So you can sort the data according to sort the cases or you can sort the variables. Okay, now this is the most important thing. Once you sort the cases of a data set, it is not possible to unsort the data to its original order if you have not included serial number or ID in your data. Right, so to overcome this, always add the first column as a serial number or ID, so that after manipulating, after sorting the data, if you sort, resort again based on ID or serial number, you will get your original data. Right, because when the data is small, there is no issue. But when we have thousands of observations, thousands of respondents, and many times you want to trace out certain data entry. So in that case, from the questionnaire, if you want to trace out, then it becomes very difficult, right? So that is why always create first column as a serial number or ID. Okay, now how to sort the data? So let us see. 1 minute. Okay, let us sort with respect to gender. Okay, so again go to data, data, and then sort cases and sort variable. Right, sort cases. Right, because I want to sort the respondent based upon gender and educational level. Okay, You can use single variable gender. If I use only gender, so look at this, only genders. So all, now see, check the IDs. Now the IDs are different. Okay. So male, 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 all male in the beginning and then all female at the end. Okay. Okay. So this is one way. Another way is sort cases, and instead of gender, now suppose I want with respect to education also. So you can use more than one variable. You can choose ascending or descending. Okay. Now look at this. Now the data is sorted first based on gender, that is male, 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 and then education, all none, then primary, then intermediate, then senior, then technical, and now female, and based on education. So this is how we can sort the data, right? Now suppose I have not used ID. I have not used ID as a variable. I cannot get the original respondent cases, right? Rows. Okay. So again, if you use data, then sort cases, and just remove these variables and select ID and ascending, right? So look at this. Now my data is in the original format. So that is why ID column is important to get the original data as it is. Okay. So this is how we can use this sorting technique, right? So this is about the sorting technique to sort the data, again resort in the original data, right? Another way to sort the data is, see, you can select columns, that is variables, on clicking on the variable name. Look at this. When I click on the title, it will select the column. And when I hold down the shift key and click, it will select the adjacent column. Okay. Same way, if I want to select the rows, that means respondent, I can select the respondent on clicking on the numbers, serial numbers, right? Holding down shift, I can select more than one row. Okay. Because the use of this is, many times we need to clear certain part of the data, remove part of the data. Suppose I want to remove this, so I can use clear. Right now I am not using that option, otherwise it will remove all the rows, selected rows, right? Or suppose I want to remove these two columns, I can use clear, select and then clear. Okay, so it will remove the two columns from the data set. Okay. Okay, now if you want to select non-adjacent column, you can select one column, then hold down the control key and select the other column. So this is how we can select non-adjacent columns with the help of, with holding the control key, right? Holding the control key, you can select non-adjacent column. Say for example, I want to sort with respect to gender and then smoking status, right? So obviously I have to select these two, right? So this is another way to sort the data. Select two columns, right click on that, and then here there is an option sort ascending, sort descending. So when I click here, so look at this, male and all non-smokers are there, and then male, all smokers are there, then female, non-smokers, female, smokers, right? So again, if I want original data, so click on, right click on ID and then sort, so it will be convert, your original data appears as it is, right? So this is how you can select adjacent columns, non-adjacent with the help of shift key, and non-adjacent column with the help of control key. And you can right click and clear the variable, you can sort the data, you can copy the data, you can paste to some other column also. Okay, so this is how we can use this shortcut key for this. Okay, now the most important thing is how to merge different files. Okay, how to merge different files. Okay, so remember, this is a very, very important step, because many times if you have 5,000 respondent, right, and you have given the questionnaire for the data entry to different persons. Okay, so 1,000 for first person, 1,000 for the second person, and so on. So we have 5 different files, right? If their structures are same, you can easily merge all 5 files to get one file for all 5,000 respondents. Okay, so that is why this merge files is very, very useful and very, very important technique. Okay, so to understand that, let me show you 2 different files I have, but before that I have to 1 minute, merge data 1. Okay, let me close the file. Okay, this is my first data file. Okay, let me show you that. Okay, so now there are 2 different situations to merge. Many times what happens, you want to merge rows. That means rows means observations, respondent. Say for example, someone entered the data from first respondent to 100 respondent. Some other fellow entered the data from 101 to 200 respondent, right? That means we have same variables, but the rows are different. Okay, or another way is this: variables. First person created the data for 10 variables, second person created the data for another 10 variables. That means here, this is, suppose this is my data file, original data file, ID, gender, and education. I have 7 respondents, right? Suppose I have another data file which contains another 10 respondents, right, with same 3 variables. So I can add rows. Okay, or I have only 7 respondent, but in the first data file I have 3 variables, and in the second data file I have 5 more variables. That means in that case I have to merge variables. Okay, so there are 2 scenarios. One is merge cases, that means rows, or merge variables, that means columns. I will show you both the techniques, how to use that. Okay, say for example, let us see first one, right? So this is my first data file having 3 variables, ID, gender, and education, and there are only 7 cases, that means 7 respondent. Okay, this is my first data file. This is my second data file, merge data 2. Okay, which contains again the same 3 variables, but 8 another respondent, right? So look at this. Here I have 1 to 7, and here I have 8 to 15, and 2 files are different. I have taken a very simple and small example so that you will understand how to merge 2 big data files to get a single data file. Okay, so this is first data file and this is the second data file, and I want to combine 2 data file to get a single data file. Okay, so how to do that? So just go to data and then merge files. Okay, and since I want to add the cases, remember, cases means I want to add the rows, not the columns. Okay, rows. So rows are the cases. Okay, so data, then merge file, add cases, right? Add cases. When you click on that, you have to open the data file. Okay, because it is an external data file. Okay, so click on the browse button, select the second data file. This is one way, or another way is, suppose I have second data file is also open, right? Suppose second data file is also open, right? Now see, I have first data file 1 to 7, second data file 8 to 15. Okay, and in the first data file, I want to merge the second one. So merge file, add cases. Now since the data file is open, it is already open, so it shows me the name of the file. But if it is not open, from external, you have to choose the data file. Okay, so this is both ways. Okay, so this is my second data file, that is merge data 02.sav, and just click on continue, right? Select the variables. All the variables are already selected. Okay, so remember, many times what happens, your first data file contains 3 variables, your second data file contains all these 3, but another 4 variables are there. So in that case, it shows with a different indications, right? So active data set, it shows star, and new data set, it shows plus, right? And simply here, click OK, and automatically look at this. This is my merge data 01.sav. Initially, I have only 1 to 7 file. Now it is 1 to 7 plus 8 to 15. So in all, both the file merge together. Okay, both the files merge together. So this is how we can merge 2 different data file row wise. That means cases wise. Okay, so this is about the cases. Okay, now suppose okay, add variables. Now suppose I am eliminating. Now see, suppose we have the original data file, so I am clearing this. So in the merge data 01, I have 7 respondent. Okay, and I am closing the second data file. Okay, and suppose now I want to add variables, right, for the 7 respondent. Okay, so for that I have another data file, merge data 03, right? So look at this. It has 3 variables, weight, height, and age, and 7 respondent, right? So if the number of cases or number of variables differ, in that case, it will select only the selected portion. Okay, so suppose I want to merge this third one with the first one. Okay, so again, go to data, merge, now select add variables. Okay, add variables and select the data source, merge data 03, click on continue. Okay, now look at this. This shows star active data set. So in the active data set, I have ID, gender, education. Okay, in the new data set, I have weight, height, and age. Okay, and when I click OK, automatically now my data 1 contains, instead of 3 variables, it contains 6 variables: ID, gender, education, weight, height, and age. Okay, weight, height, and age. So this is how you can merge the data files. Okay, so this is about adding adding rows or columns. Rows means variables, columns, rows means cases, and columns means variables. Okay, apart from this, many times we have the data and you want to split the data. Say for example, let us open the original data file, that is heart study data. This is my first data set. Okay, so let us close these 2 files. Okay, now when I have this particular data and I want to analyze the data only for gender, only for female candidates only, right? So in that case, you can split split the file. You can select the cases. So go to select cases, right? And then here gender, if condition, click on the if condition and gender, and this is equal to, and here you can use, say for example, 1. Okay, so gender equal to 1. 1 minute. Okay, so gender equal to 1, and when I click on OK, so look at this, it will select only female candidates from the entire data set. You can see this cross line. Okay, you can see this cross line. Okay, so this cross line means your data is as it is, right? It will not remove male candidate from your data, but temporarily it will disable all those respondents whose gender is male. Okay, and only female. Now after this, on this data, whatever the analysis, say for example, I want to create frequencies. Okay, I want to create frequencies for education, right? And when I click OK, so look at this, how many total respondents are there? Okay, so there are 48 respondents, but actually in all I have 100 respondents. So out of 100 respondents, 52 are male respondent and 48 are female respondent, right? So whatever the analysis after using this select cases, for gender equal to 1, that means only female are selected, and whatever the analysis you perform, that will be carried out only on female respondent, not on the male respondent. Sorry. Okay, so this is a simple example to understand how we can select the cases. Okay, how we can select the cases. Now suppose I want to remove this, right? So again, go to data, select cases, and here you can use all cases again. Now remember, when we use this select cases, temporarily SPSS will add a filter in the last column, right? And look at this, it shows selected or not selected. So for not selected, there is a cross line in the row numbers, right? And when we use again the whole data, select cases, right, and all cases. Okay, so now all the cases are selected. Again, if I use descriptive statistics and frequency for the education, now in this case, instead of 48, I have 100 respondents. Okay, because in earlier case, I have used a filter type of technique. I have used a filter. I want to select only female candidates, and for female candidate, I want to carry out the analysis, or for male candidate, I want to carry out the analysis. Okay, so this is one very important technique, that is about select cases, right? Select cases, right? Another important thing is, many times you want to select a random sample of cases, right? Random sample of cases. That means out of 100 respondents, I want to select 40% of the cases randomly. Okay, I want to select 40% of the cases randomly, right? Now look at this. Out of the 100, now you don't know which one is selected and which one is not selected, right? Actually, it shows here in the filter, but randomly SPSS will select out of 100 40% of the cases combined together, male, female, whatever. Okay, and again, if you use analyze and then frequencies for the same variable, look at this, it shows 47. Okay, it shows 47, not 100, right? Earlier it shows 48, right? So approximately 40% of the data is selected randomly. Okay, again, you can use all cases, right? And then click OK. So automatically it will be all the data remains as it is, right? So this is one technique for selecting the data, right? Now, many times, suppose when I create a table, analyze descriptive statistics, frequencies for education, it shows me the total 100 respondents categorization into different levels of education. Okay, but suppose I want the similar type of table, frequency table, for male and female separately. Okay, male and female separately, or for smoker and non-smoker separately. Okay, so there is another technique, that is a data and split file. Okay, there is another technique, that is data and split file, right? In split file, you can select compare groups, right? Compare groups and select gender. Okay, so when I select gender as a comparison group, right? So when I select this, okay, when I select this and again use a descriptive statistics frequency for education level. Now look at this. See the difference, because many times what happens, you want separate analysis, right, for male and female for the education, right? Separate table, frequency table, right? So this is for the whole data, 100 respondent. But what I want, same type of table, I want separately for male respondent and for female respondent. Same way, suppose when I split the file with respect to, say for example, physical activity, or say for example, let us say smoking status, right? Smoking status, and then click OK, right? Again, go to analyze, descriptive statistics, frequency, same variable. Now look at this. This is the education distribution for a non-smoker. This is the education distribution for the smoker, right? So this first part is for the non-smoker and their educational level, right? Similarly, this is for the non-smoker and their educational level. Okay, so this is how we can use this data technique and transform technique for different purposes. Actually, there are additional technique, but these are most commonly used technique for the analysis purpose. Okay, so I hope you find it very useful. Now, if you have any question regarding today's presentation, you can ask me. I tried my best to cover most of the different situations.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I just want to ask, is there an undo button in SPS?
Yeah, there is one undo button, but it is see, let me show you. So here, this is that one, right? So look at this, just below transform and analyze, right? So whatever the activity you did on the data set, so you can use this back button or this forward button for redo.
Does that mean all the work what we did?
Not all the work.
Okay.
The work related to the data only, that you can undo and redo. But once you carried out, say for example, I have created the output, right? So I have used certain command to create this output. Okay, so look at this. Just recently we have used this splitting data, split the files. Okay, so when I use this, right, it is splitted, right? But here there is no undo, right? So at very rare cases, this do and redo and undo button is available.
Okay,
That
so
is why,
you have to see whether it is activated.
Yeah. If it is activated, it shows a blue color, green color.
Okay.
Right. So that is why it is very important. Be careful while applying anything on your data source.
One more query, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, when you did this underweight, overweight label, why did we do first in numeric, then we labeled it? Can't we straight away change the numeric to values and do it?
Okay, let us see. Say, for example, let me open that data file so that you get idea. Oh, where it is. Was just 1 minute, because I have stored that somewhere else. I think it is in the documents. Yeah. Okay, so see, when you calculate the body mass index, right? Now, based upon the body mass index, you are creating a nominal variable. Okay? Try to understand. Body mass index is a numeric variable. Okay, it is a numeric variable, and you are creating a nominal variable, right? So these are the 1 minute. These are the categories. Okay, so actually BMI is a numerical variable, right? And based upon the value of the BMI, you are converting to a new variable, which is a nominal variable. Okay, now when it is a nominal variable, so as we have entered the data, say for example, in the data view, you can see what we have used. We have coded 1 and 0, right? 1 and 0 for gender, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for education level. So exactly same way you have to code it here, right? You have to code it here, weight status, right? Either overweight, underweight, and that is why we are assigning the labels. And when we assign the labels, so if these labels are not assigned, it will not appear in your output, right? It will appear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only without the labels. Okay, say for example, let us do this. Let us copy this, and 1 minute. Let me show you the difference. Say, let us take this example. Okay, just analyze, create table and frequency, and say for example body mass index. Okay, so when I use this, it 1 minute, sorry, analyze, descriptive, frequency, instead of body mass index, actually I have to take the variable weight status. Okay, so look at this, what it shows: underweight, normal weight, overweight, obese, right? Now what happens if I am not using any labels, right? Say for example, I am changing the labels. Now what I have the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have not used any labels, right? In that case, it is very difficult to understand what is 1 and what is 2, right? Look at this. This is the difference. That is why labeling is important. I hope you understand.
Yes, sir. My question was, why can't we straight away take the labels?
You cannot straight away take the labels because there is no provision. While defining the variable, you can assign the values only.
Okay, so it will be numeric, then we can change.
Yeah, first convert the numeric value to some numeric value 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can change the labels.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone?
Sir. My question is, in selecting the cases, can we select more than one case at a time?
Where?
More than one type. So for example, education, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is there. So can't we select two types of categories from education?
Yeah. You can in select cases, na. In select cases, na here, na.
Can you education, sir? Education.
Okay, you can select that, right? Instead of this, you can use the education, right? Education equal to 1, and you can use the operator and sorry, or operator I have to use, right? Or education equal to 2. Okay, you can select this way also. Okay, now look at this. What I have, only 1 and 2 are selected. Is it clear? Hello. Hello.
Hello,
Is it
sir.
clear? Is it
yes,
clear?
sir. It's clear. It is clear, sir. Got it.
You can use logical and or operator, right? So here I have used or operator. This vertical line is a or operator. Okay. Even not only on 2 different education level, you can combine this with and you can use gender equal to male or female. Okay, so you can use more than one variables for the selection of cases.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anyone?
Sir, shall we wind up the session, sir?
Yeah. If there are no question, then I have finished.
Okay, sir. First of all, on behalf of IQAC, I'm very happy, sir, that you have accepted our invitation and being with us, and you have given a wonderful, excellent demonstration as to how to import file from Excel and to make use of the SPSS regarding transforming variables, recoding variables, ranking cases, sorting cases, merging files, and what are the different various types of files in SPSS. It was really a 1.5 session, which was very, very informative, and I'm sure all the participants will be an eye opener. Those who don't know, it will be an eye opener, and for the others, it will be a recap of what they know, sir. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, madam.